we're going to talk about Vanessa from Deadpool 2. Okay, we're going to talk about Vanessa from Deadpool 2. Now, this one is a little complicated. So I can't definitively answer this one until Deadpool 3 comes out. These are just my thoughts on it. And Gail Simone has already said that Vanessa's death was not fridging, which is all you need to know. At this point, I think people think that fridging is something that's just been around, but if the person that coined the phrase and dedicated a website to it and called out comic book writers for it says it's not fridging, then it's not fridging. You don't get to argue with Gail Simone. This is not death of an author. This phrase has not outgrown her. If Gail says it's not fridging, then it's not fridging. End of discussion. I'm going to explain why it's not fridging, or why I can see why people would think it's fridging, but it's not. If you isolate Deadpool 2 and forget that there was a Deadpool 1, then by the end of the normal length of the movie, Vanessa was fridged. Her death literally kicks off the plot of the movie, and I think that's the part that people latched onto. So I can see why people think it's fridging. However, Deadpool 1 does exist, and Vanessa was actually a pretty big part of that plotline as well, and she had character, and she had development, and she had a background, and she had emotions and a history, and like we know who she is as a person. So let's all remind ourselves what the 3 points of fridging are. Woman who was basically just a face and a name with no real substance to her, was killed off to kick a male character's storyline off. This is kind of a subplot. Normally that killing is done as in an extra gruesome, like dumping her in a bathtub, kind of way. That is either violent for shock value's sake, or over-sexualized. They do that too, like shoving her in a refrigerator. And then that death is not properly mourned or acknowledged, which is why people talk about Black Widow. If at least half of those points aren't hit, it just can't be fridging. This is a very specific term to explain a very specific phenomenon, which is why it also doesn't apply to men. Every dude bro in my comments ever. It does not apply to everyone. Everyone doesn't get hurt in comics. That's not the point. Fridging is a very specific framework, and it does only happen to women. Anyway, so in the context of just Deadpool 2, I can see why it's fridging. But Deadpool 1 gave Vanessa so much introduction and character and development, and it made her a real person. So that 1 point of the 3 major ones, already gone. 2, killed off to kick off the hero's storyline. Sure, 1 on this side. Death wasn't acknowledged. This is where it gets complicated and tricky. As of right now, Vanessa is canonically alive. Yes, it was done in a post-credit scene. Wade went back through time and he stopped Vanessa from getting killed. So she's just not dead, guys. She can't have been fridged because she's not dead. Welcome to comic book movies. Welcome to comic books. Someone had called it, because they retconned it in a post-credit scene, but it wasn't retconning. It was still in the proper narrative of the story. I don't think all of you know what retconned means. We'll talk about that later. But it was a movie that dealt with time travel, so he used time travel to save his girlfriend. She can't have been fridged. She is alive.